This is what we've been looking at off camera here. And what I want you to see is just how this rotation started right here and then weakened as it went to the east. Now, one thing I'm noticing though, look at the track. See how it's moved almost due south, like northeast of Poto? I know they dropped the tornado warning or they trimmed it back and they've issued a severe thunderstorm warning downstream from this. I'd be real careful here. From Poto out to Hartford, you can see this thing, it's moving in a deviant motion. It's not moving northeast like the other storms. It's moving more southeast. See right there, moving more southeast. And those brighter yellow colors too on the west side of the storm right there could be an indication too that it's trying to wrap up again. So that's how it started with this first storm, and that may very well be how it starts with this next one that's starting to move through the area too. So again, northeast LaFleur County is the place to watch. We've got a tremendous amount of lightning with this, a lot of gusty winds, and unfortunately that possibility of some rotation still, excuse me, continuing with that thunderstorm. So let me get you back into the greater Fort Smith area. Show you what it looks like here. So we have these storms that are moving through northern LaFleur and out towards Greenwood. That area that I was just showing you a moment ago is going to be right here out towards Cameron, actually just east of Cameron. Looks like it may be crossing over the line there. Let's see if we can find it on velocity and get a better look at it here for us. Stop it, and then let's zoom out just a little bit. Yeah, so our bright colors that we're wrapping into the storm would be right in here. So this is the area that we're watching for potentially some more rotation. Aside from that, you've still got a lot of gusty winds, damaging winds likely here in northern LaFleur County as they move from the Pensacola, Panama area, and then eventually into Sebastian County. That new severe thunderstorm warning is out for Sebastian County, but I bet you it gets extended. This thing's going to be going across a good portion of the river valley with that thunderstorm. Look at all the lightning too that's embedded within this. So not only do you have all the lightning strikes, but you also have that possibility of getting damaging winds, and still the tornado threat's still there, unfortunately, with that particular cell that's moving in. I'll take you in a little bit more and show you where this is located here. Again, that bright area. Let me loop this and see if you can see it here real close. So the initial circulation moved north, and then you have that new one that's forming on the southeast side. This has been forming here for about the last 5 or 10 minutes though. So we'll see if it's able to actually do anything, but it certainly looks worrisome here on radar. Just the radar presentation really shows that spin that's going on there in the northeast part of LaFleur County. So if this does happen to increase a little bit more, we'll know that we definitely have that risk of more development here in that region of northeast LaFleur County, and we'll see if that tornado warning gets extended or pushed out. Go ahead.
They're going to do a new tornado warning for that?
They are going to? Okay. So we have a new tornado warning coming now. It's the same circulation, right, that we're looking at?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is not surprising, guys. This is exactly what we've been talking about. So you have there it is, new tornado warning now. This is going to go for Sebastian County, heads up in Greenwood, northwest of Mansfield. Same track as the last storm. It's moving west to east. Now, the thing that bothers me the most about this, I think you're on there, Michelle. So what I'm looking at here is when you see this little spin here, this is indicating that the storm is starting to wrap up a little bit more. So that's exactly what the Weather Service saw. We've been over here at the looking at it on radar, but the Weather Service obviously has been looking at the same thing. So this is a brand new tornado warning that's in effect here for northern LaFleur and Sebastian County. Now the sirens are going to go off in Greenwood, probably going to go off in South Fort Smith and across Sebastian County. So I want to get really in to show you where the rotation is strongest and then where it's moving towards. South of Pensacola in this area right here, this is where the rotation is. Right now, it's not on the ground. It's not even really wrapped up tightly right now, but as it moves from west to east, I do think it has that potential to wrap up even more. It's just moving into an environment that's real conducive to spinning storms. It's not going to weaken as it moves east. It may cycle, kind of like it did earlier, where it flares up and then kind of goes back down. I don't see this thing really weakening much as it moves through the river valley, though. So another loop of images here just to give you an idea. See the first one weaken and the next one just really start wrapping up right there, starting to wrap up here in northeast LaFleur County, just south of Pensacola. And again, that's going to be moving west to east. Now, the way that we can tell if these things are on the ground is by looking at this product. It's really noisy and makes a lot of mess. But what we try to do is locate where the rotation is, and we match it up with where these brighter blue colors are. Now, if they're co-located or right on top of each other, we know there's debris. There's no debris in that storm where the rotation is, so at least right now we know it's not on the ground. But we do see this thing spinning, and if you guys can make out too, look at how it is moving more to the southeast than to the northeast. That's a motion in the storm that should be able to ingest and suck in more of that spin in the atmosphere. So I do think this one probably winds up a little bit more and probably strengthens. So where does it go from here? Well, general track of that storm, we get back to, actually, let's leave it on the wind velocity here. It'll make a little bit more sense as we zoom in. I know it's cluttered here with all the lightning strikes that are going on. So you have that rotation coming right over 112 out towards Cameron. The track, if it moves east-southeast, puts it towards 252 and Midland. That's out there by Sugarloaf and the Gap. Here's 45. There's Hackett. It may very well pass just south of Hackett, but it really depends on where that new circulation really takes hold. In fact, you saw the initial one here on the west side, but if we stop the radar here, you can actually see a new one that's starting to develop here. So we have two pockets here. The one that's over Cameron, and by the way, these winds are going to be real gusty here in Cameron, probably 40 to even 50 miles an hour with this thing that's coming through. Those storms will be moving in. Looks like we've got this severe thunderstorm warning that's going to continue on that. And then that's going to be wrapping up here with that tornado warning due south of Hackett and northwest of Midland. I would take your tornado precautions anywhere in northeast LaFleur County or west central Sebastian County. In Greenwood, be on guard and keep a close eye on the radar. In Hackett, you should be moving to your safe place until this thing passes. Same with Midland, same with Cameron, anywhere in this area here. Now, looks like we've got a little pixel here of some green there, so that may be some winds moving towards and away from the radar. So we'll wait and see how this plays out here with the next couple of scans. But along and north of Slaytonville Road and along Old Highway 112, which runs up through the Cameron area, that's the area to watch for this area of rotation, and we're really where it's strongest now. That general track to the east, at least for the time being, doesn't put it right over Greenwood and doesn't put it over Mansfield yet. Now, if it continues a southeast track, it may very well go towards Mansfield. So that's something to keep an eye on too. Let's see if we can find any hooks on this with the rainfall mode here. We'll go back to this and we'll look at this and stop it. And yeah, there may be something going on right in here. It looks really messy, though, as we look at it through radar. In other words, it'd probably be a rain-wrapped tornado. It probably wouldn't be a tornado that you'd actually be able to walk out and see. It's very cluttered, very messy here with lots of cloud-to-ground lightning strikes looking from Pecola. We saw that with our iCam, and then Greenwood. So who else is in this tornado warning? Well, it goes right up to about the Fort Smith landfill. You can see where the Doppler radar site's located here. And then out towards Hackett and Greenwood, anywhere south of, basically anywhere south of Ben Garen's under the tornado warning. Here's Old Jenny Lind. There's Pecola. There's Hackett. And again, that rotation southwest of there. The lightning strikes pick up right around Old Jenny Lind and Pecola and Rock Island, and then really continue almost nonstop with the lightning that's moving on through. So new tornado warning here on this cell. Again, that's the one we're looking at. I think the velocity just shows us better images of it on where it is. I'm going to loop this, and then we're going to go over to Analyst real quick and take a look at it. I think it's wrapping up right here on the east side.
Hey, Garrett.
Right there. Yeah, go ahead.
It says the main circulation is southwest of Hackett, so it's exactly where you're saying it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right here, southwest of Hackett.
Mm-hmm. And it's about to cross into Arkansas.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's right now the outbound winds, or those bright orange winds, are a lot brighter than some of the green ones that are developing. But I think with time we'll probably get that moving in. Let me see if I can clean this up just a little bit here. There we go. That may look a little bit easier. And I can also isolate the rotation real quickly and show you where it is. It's going to be right in this area. So right around just south of Rock Island, southwest of Hackett. This is the area where that storm is spinning the most. That dark blue color there indicates to us where we could have that rotation. And then if I back out a little bit here and go back over to storm relative, again, that's the area where the main circulation's taking over. That looks to be right over Boise Street. Also, let's see here. What have we got? Moving back to the south, County Road 70A, and then Slaytonville Road. Coming right down Slaytonville Road, too, just southwest of Hackett. Let's see if I can calibrate this real quick for us. And, yeah, there we go. There's the circulation. You can see it a lot better here. So I'm going to center this up and then loop this for you real quick, and then head back over to the wall and get another idea of what's going on. So I just wanted to verify, too, that that's what we're seeing. Indeed, that's where that circulation is. And right there, just southwest of Hackett.
And apparently the sirens are going off in Fort Smith already.
Okay, so we got the siren sounding in Fort Smith. I imagine a lot of parts of A lot of parts of Sebastian County will probably be sounding their sirens for this. It kind of depends on the city policy as to whether or not they sound the sirens, if it's just for the polygon or if it's for the whole county. The polygon is this area here. Obviously, Sebastian County goes up through Fort Smith and back to the north too. But this is the area of rotation. So this is the one to watch moving actually east-southeast, which is not the best movement for this storm, simply because I think it may intensify even more in that general direction. The rotation is right here. I'll depict it a little bit better here for you, right there. So you'll have damaging winds in Hackett as well as Rock Island, along with that frequent lightning that's just almost nonstop. It's like a strobe light out there. And then coming right down Slaytonville Road here, just south of Hackett, coming up on Hartford, this whole area is in the path of the storm. It's tough to see out in this area. You got a lot of terrain there. You got a lot of hills. You got Sugarloaf. You got Podo Mountain. You got a lot of terrain here where it's going to be difficult to see this thing coming on in. So I wouldn't be outside looking for it. You won't be able to see it either because it's rain wrapped. But we're going to have the damaging winds with it. We'll also have a hail threat with some of these storms too as it moves on in. Take this off here and let's loop this again and get another look at how this is trending here over time so we can see how this storm is starting to evolve. Again, we had that initial circulation to the north. We had the new one developing just down to the south-southeast right here. There's the new circulation here crossing over the Arkansas-Oklahoma state line. I imagine the Weather Service will probably trim back that tornado warning to the state line here shortly once that circulation moves over it. And whether or not they extend it downstream, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think it probably continues in that intensity, though. So this is the storm of the hour. This is the strongest one that's out there. Thankfully, right now, we have much stronger wind speeds moving away from the radar than we do moving towards the radar. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay that way. We certainly have that circulation there, and this thing could develop a tornado at any time here in northeast Lafleur County coming into Sebastian County. Another thing to note, too, you can see these winds rushing out of the storm here on the northeast side, so we definitely have that circulation. It's very broad, but a large circulation sitting here in the northeast part of Lafleur County tracking towards the east. Another look at it here, closer look at exactly where it is. Southwest of Greenwood. Here's Greenwood. Here's Highway 10. The wind speeds pick up at about Hackett, and then that circulation is located here just to the southwest of Hackett. Looks to me like it's right on the state line between Hackett and Cameron, maybe a little due southwest of there and northwest of Midland. Again, that's going to be tracking south and southeastward. We go back to the reflectivity here. We've focused a lot on this storm because this has been the strongest one out there. But if we back out, we have a lot of storms that are underway here in the central and southern part of the area, as well as in portions of northwest Arkansas too, where we have that potential for more flash flooding. This doesn't look nearly as intense as it looked earlier this afternoon or this morning, but we still have that risk of additional flash flooding, not only here in Benton County, but also in Lafleur County too, due to this storm, because you have storms out behind this too that are going to be training. All of these little orange boxes, you've got one here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of these are severe thunderstorm warning boxes, so you can see we're really not out of the woods even after this thing moves through. We're definitely going to be dealing with this for a while, and it looks like just east of the storm, the Weather Service in Little Rock may have lit up that county for a severe thunderstorm warning out ahead of the main storm that's moving through. Here's a closer look at that storm as it tracks east. Again, Greenwood, the heavy lightning and showers are starting to pick up. Charleston, you can probably hear that rumble of thunder out in the distance. It'll be hitting y'all pretty hard too coming up with that frequent lightning and gusty winds. Mansfield up and down 71. The leading edge of the storm is moving through now. Let's see if we can stop the radar, go back to this product real quick. Still looks to be wound up right there. Looks like it's crossed the state line now. Oh, you see that last bright pixel right there? Right there. That thing is really wrapped up. Let me see if I can pick this up for you guys real quick. This is something to be concerned with. Let's look at this real close, guys. This is going to be here southwest of Greenwood. This is really wrapped up now. You can see the greens and the reds are basically right next to each other. This is northwest of Witcherville. This is a tight circulation here. I think this one could produce a tornado at any time right along 253 towards 71. Again, that circulation's right here, and that's a lot tighter than it was earlier as far as those wind speeds bunching together like this. So the strongest rotation is right here in the storm. So that's going to put it southeast of Hackett now, and then southwest of Greenwood, just south of Excelsior, moving out towards Dayton and Burnville, Again, this area here I think could really could produce a tornado at any time here in this area. So if you live anywhere near here, move to the centermost part of your hallway, get away from windows. Seek some shelter. If you've got the storm shelter out back, this is one of the ones to get into it for. Looking at that along Plunkett Drive, here's Bowers Loop, Hilltop Heights, here's Mockingbird Road, Young Ridge Road, Nickeltown Road. This is all moving towards the east. There's White Rock Terrace right on 71. So this is just west of 71 where that rotation is. Let me go back over here to the other radar here and take a look at this a little closer. If you don't mind, Michelle, can you zoom in on this area here where we have that? That's southwest of Greenwood.
Is that good?
Yeah, go ahead and stop it too. Maybe we can get a glance. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so yeah, very tight circulation here that's wrapped up. Now, it is kind of broad. It could still put down a tornado at any moment here, but I do think it wraps up even more as it continues to track east. So I'd prepare ahead of time, guys, here in eastern parts of Sebastian County out towards Washburn and even Mansfield. I think you're probably going to get another tornado warning out of this as this rotation starts to move towards the east side. That next tornado warning probably includes areas just south of Greenwood. Look at it tighten up even more right there in the middle. Matter of fact, try the correlation coefficient real quick on that, and let's see if we've got anything. Oh, yeah. Go ahead and go back to reflectivity, maybe. And then try velocity. Yeah, that's fine. That's base. You can try storm relative too. Yeah. Okay, give me the CC one more time on that. That looks like that little area right here is located right on top of the velocity image. We'll see if that stays consistent. That certainly looks like tornado debris to me, though. So I think this thing may have touched down at least briefly here, southwest of Greenwood. It matches up with the velocity where the winds are spinning. This is indicating that there's debris in the radar beam here, right in this area. So that's something that we're concerned with.
The National Weather Service said that two storm spotters actually reported it lowering to the ground.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It may have just briefly touched down in this area. I think that the last one dropped the correlation coefficient on, or the tornado debris. So we're looking at Stromley Court here is where this would be. Let me back out a little bit more here. Go back over to velocity here, maybe. See if we can get another look at that. There we go. Again, right along 253, yeah, that thing is tight. That's all wound up here, right along 253 and just northwest of Witcherville. Witcherville, you guys need to be in your tornado safe place, away from windows. If you have an outdoor shelter, this is one to get in it. Get away from windows, get in the hallway, get in the centermost part of your home until this thing passes through. It's just west of 71. Look at these colors just come to life here in the last couple of minutes, though. Last few frames, this thing really just took off in intensity here. And right along 253, I think we probably did have at least one quick touchdown on this storm. Looks like that tornado warning is going to continue. The Weather Service just continuing it. It became a little broader on the last scan, so that may be a little bit of good news. We go back here to the other radar product again here and see. Yeah, go ahead.
It says that the National Weather Service, yes, till 10:15, but they're saying it's a particularly dangerous situation, so take cover for that tornado.
All right, so again, that rotation's still wrapped up here. National Weather Service issuing a higher end tornado warning. Typically, we've just got tornado warnings. When they start tagging them particularly dangerous situation, we know that it's an even more significant type of tornado warning. In other words, there's a real good chance this thing's going to be back on the ground. So heads up, this isn't one of your spin-up tornadoes that touches and goes, leaves a couple of trees and shingles down or anything like that. This would be a stronger tornado should this thing continue to redevelop here. This is the area we're watching west to east. If you can, Michelle, go ahead and click through those again. We can look at, yeah, this works first to get an idea. There's the first tornado warning, and then you can see the next one that pops up, and then the next one downstream till about 10:15 or so. Now we'll check out velocity here, and we'll look at the wind speeds in the storm and really get an idea of where it is. Right here, you can zoom in on this too. This looks like it's wrapping back into it. Those red colors are wrapping back into the storm here, so I would expect these blues to get brighter right through here. Again, that's right on 253. This is passing south of Greenwood right now, but in Greenwood, you should still be in your tornado safe place until it moves through. Here's Washburn, so that tornado would be forming right through here. Let's go ahead and check out tornado debris again and see if we can find anything. I don't see anything on here. You can step it back a couple of frames, though, and you can kind of see where it was earlier, where it popped up right there. right in this area. So we had, go one step forward, I think it was right in here. So that's definitely one area that we're keeping a real close eye on. Let me go back to reflectivity on the, I'll go back to the hand tracking here. Again, this thing's rain wrapped. It's going to be very difficult to see. It's not something you're going to be able to see coming. There's too much rain that's embedded within it. There's too much lightning within the storm too. You've got just these lightning strikes, which are just extremely vivid. I would go to some of our iCams, either Mercy or Pecola, and look south, but you're not going to be able to see anything because of the sheets of rain, which just continue here. So we have the initial tornado warning box here, and then we have the second box, which is for from Greenwood to the southeast. It includes Sebastian County, goes right up to Franklin County. It doesn't include Franklin County yet, but it is possible that in Franklin County we could see that warning extended. I think we probably will, just based on the environment that it's moving into. Again, this is a supercell storm. It's not a storm on a squall line. It's not one of those spin-up type storms. This is going to be a much stronger storm here as it moves through. Let's check out the velocity product again here shortly and see where that rotation is. Boy, it looks like it kind of weakened again. It may just be cycling, huh?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah. You can tell here as this thing wound up real quick and then weakened, it's probably going through one of those cycles. It did earlier in LaFleur County. It's probably going to do the same thing too as it continues to track east-southeast. We saw that. In fact, I can back out.
The National Weather Service is saying that the spotter reported the tornado in the area, but the circulation is falling apart.
Okay, that makes sense. That's similar to what we're seeing here. You still have some circulation in that. Look at all these little pockets too of rotation. I mean, you started here west of Spiro. You've got this one, and then you have this one, and then you have another one, and then you have this one. So really anywhere along and south of Greenwood, I'd be very cautious here for that tornado possibility with any of these storms that are moving through. Don't want to play around with this kind of stuff. These are the storms that mean business, especially in late April, early May. This is the time of year when we get our strongest storms, and unfortunately when we start getting what's tornado season for us for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So these storms mean business for us tonight. That brief touchdown, should it have occurred, it would have been right along 253. It did look like we had something on radar, at least briefly. That circulation, for the time being, has weakened. We'll see if it starts to regenerate. It probably will. Whether or not it does it on the north side or the south side remains to be seen. Greenwood is in this second tornado warning polygon box, though. You can see it here stretching along 96, back through Chaffee, and then Washburn, and then back to the west-southwest, out through the Dayton area. So that storm tracking east-northeast. We'll put it real close to Greenwood and just south of Highway 10 as well. Let's go back to reflectivity again and look at this in motion and back out a little bit more. It's messy, isn't it? The radar presentation is really messy on this. You can see the cell, it's not just one little isolated storm all by itself with a big hook on it. What you're looking at here is a very large engine or supercell storm that's just tracking west to east, and as it goes in that direction, it's ingesting and pulling in the spin from the atmosphere. Now, on the flip side of this thing, the flash flooding threat's going to be an issue. You're going to get street flooding in Fort Smith if you don't already have street flooding due to the storm. There's just going to be a ton of rainfall that moves through with this, similar to what we saw in northwest Arkansas. Now, keep in mind, those big swaths of like 6 inches of rain, they don't occur everywhere, but if they occur right over you, man, does it cause problems. And that's what we had earlier today from like Rogers back to the southwest through Bentonville. And this storm, it looks like the heaviest rain axis would be running from around Rudy to about Poteau through Fort Smith. So keep in mind, we may get another 2 inches of rain out of this from this cell alone as it moves on through. Elsewhere in the area, we do have additional thunderstorms that are developing and moving to the north. We even have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. You can see them out there just south of the Red River Valley, east of Oklahoma City. You can see the we've got flash flood warnings still in LaFleur County. You have additional storms developing, moving over the same area. These are not severe. The strongest part of that cell is going to be the one with the biggest cluster of lightning. That's the one that's moving just south of Fort Smith and just south of Greenwood. So let's get a closer look at this and show you where this is located. Here's another look at it. This is coming up towards Dayton now. And then I'll stop the radar and give you a look at how this is trending. Boy, it's a lot of noise in Greenwood, isn't it? A lot of lightning. You can see that stuff through the windows. You probably have one of those cracks of thunder too that just shakes and rumbles the window frames and the whole house. There's a lot of this lightning. As far as the tornado risk goes, let's go back and see how this storm has developed in the last minute or so. We had that initial circulation that weakened. There may be a new one right here trying to form just south of Greenwood. we'll watch this here. The first one really fell apart. And what's interesting too is as these storms bank due north, you can see them really weak and fast. They need that east-southeast movement to keep going, and you can almost see it just kind of poof right here as it fell apart and moved to the north. That's going to be one to watch here in this area. I do think this looks like this could be another place where we start seeing additional development. That would be in the southeastern part of Sebastian County.
They were saying, given the winds, it would definitely try again, but it still remains a dangerous storm right now.
Yeah, I think it will too. I think it's just this cycling phase. The atmosphere is almost a little bit out of balance because the wind shear, that turning with height, is a little too much. And when it's too much like this, you don't get tornadoes that last a long, long time on the ground. What you end up with is these cycling storms that maybe last 5-10 minutes, and then they regenerate, and then they do it again because there's so much turning with height in the atmosphere. It's kind of like just flipping a quarter on a table. That thing will spin perfectly for a while, and then eventually it gets wobbly and falls apart. So that's basically what this storm's doing. The whole storm is still spinning, but down at the surface, there's nothing that's really that really catches our eye right now as far as a tornado being on the ground. The reason we're staying with it is because it is a very dangerous storm, and it likely will regenerate another tight pocket of rotation. The question is, where are we going to get that rotation at inside this thunderstorm? Let me go back over to the other radar, and what we may do here, let's see, there's the initial one. You can see as it moved to the north and weakened right here just south of Greenwood. Looks like there's a gust. Let's see, right in there. That may be outflow from the storm. Still think this is the area to watch, though, southeast of Greenwood, right here. So let's go back over to the reflectivity here and get a closer look at it. Again, we're looking right in here, out towards Washburn in this area, out towards Dayton. Let's see if we've got any new images here. Again, this is going to be southeast of the Greenwood area, and just judging by radar, looks like there's something trying to get going here near Burnville and just north of Echo and east of Dayton on 252 out towards Washburn. So something could be starting in this area here. That tornado warning goes, did you say 10:15 on that? I think it was 10:15. They issued a long warning on that storm. Takes it out here to the Sebastian and Franklin County line in eastern Sebastian County. Now, the good news is where that tornado warning was earlier, just east of Spiro, we still have a lot of wind with this and likely some cloud to ground, a lot of lightning. The tornado threat appears to be, for at least the time being, east of the state line. So we're really focusing on the area from Greenwood to the south for the highest potential for more rotation to develop on the storm, and where we'll see this storm cycle again. I don't think this is something that's going to end, though. I think we're going to have to track this storm across the area just because of the nature of how the environment that it's in. It just wants to spin this time of year, and the turning with height is very, very high within the atmosphere. So let's look again at the images of this, see how this has trended and tracked here lately. That was the initial, or that was like the third circulation. So the new one I think is going to be right here, just southeast of Greenwood in this area. You can kind of see that gust front that's starting to punch east. A lot of times when that happens too, you can get these winds bending back to the north right here. And if that happens, that would be the next area to watch. Sometimes we can get a feel too for these things just by looking at different tilts. We may do that here in a second too. But you can see how this red color is surging outward, and then you end up with a little bit of a circle up in here. So I'm going to be watching this close. I think you guys in Washburn, heads up here out towards Barber in this area. This area is the place I feel most confident that we'll probably see the next circulation redevelop here. It makes sense with this darker red that's punching east. A lot of times what that is, in a storm like this, we'd call it a rear flank downdraft or a push of wind that almost gets that thing going, gets it spinning. And that's likely what's going on here with that dark red color that's starting to push out of the storm. You can see it race right there. And as it moves out, you're going to get a little bit more bending here on the north side of that line. So we'll watch this area to see if this thing does anything as it moves into central and eastern parts of Sebastian County. Here's a wider view of the storm. Again, that's looking at East Sebastian County is the place to watch. The area of circulation earlier near Greenwood has fallen apart, but there's still Still some gusty winds and just a ton of lightning with this. My goodness, the lightning's been incredible with this storm.
It looks like they cut back on the tornado warning just a little bit.
And trimmed it back? Okay.
I don't know if it showed up on your map just yet.
Yeah, I think it has. I think that initial one's still riding, though, from LaFleur County. It hasn't fallen off yet, but I can see the second one has been trimmed back from just north of Dayton. Oh, here's another look at it and see if we can get it going.
The one for LaFleur County has expired.
Okay. So LaFleur County, we're not under the tornado threat anymore. We still are here in southeast Sebastian County. And these things, you saw that one jog due north. I mean, heads up in Charleston, we're not under a tornado warning right now, but these things, I mean, you got the storm on top of you right now with all that lightning and that heavy rainfall. And should something develop out here around Washburn and southeast of Greenwood in this area here, that might move northeast, and it might move a little bit to the east into Logan County and Boonville too, guys. Watch out in Boonville. Keep an eye on this. You're not under a severe thunderstorm warning right now, but the general track of this storm has it's wobbled a little bit north and then more towards the southeast, and then as it weakens, it moves back to the north. But this area here is going to be one to watch. Let's move you back over to the wind speeds and see if we've had any change on this. It's right in here. Right now, I don't see anything that indicates that we have any strong rotation that would produce a tornado. You might be able to see these green colors getting brighter right there, though, and the red's getting a little darker, too. So I do think we have that new circulation forming here west of Washburn, and that would be moving towards the east into central Logan County, if that's the one that takes off and develops. So we'll see how that develops here. I'm also noticing right in here there's a little bit of some damaging winds that are probably underway here. Here's a wide view of the storm again. We'll go back to perhaps take you back out across the entire area. Again, those two tornado warnings include LaFleur County and central Sebastian County. These are tracking east-northeast. Look at all this rainfall, too. Goodness gracious. I mean, it's going to be raining all night for us here in Crawford County. You know what that means? You start talking terrain in this area, you're going to have more flash flooding. Flash flooding at night is even worse than flash flooding during the day. You can't tell what you're driving into. Of course, it didn't help this morning that we had that flash flooding occurring at drive time. But this flash flooding is still going to be an issue for us, and it's not going to take much. Thankfully, we don't have a lot going on in Benton County just yet as far as torrential rains go, but we have quite a bit in Washington County, and then we have more that's moving in from the west. In the River Valley, we were spared somewhat from the super soaking rain that our friends to the north got earlier. I don't think we're going to be spared by this one. All of us are going to get drenched out of this. I think on average we'll get about 2 to 3 inches. There are definitely going to be outliers, though, that are much, much higher than that. We saw that this morning with some places picking up 6, 7 inches of rain in a short time span. And keep in mind, those storms that produce the heaviest rainfall are supercell storms. They're storms like the one we're tracking here in Sebastian and eventually southern Franklin County. So this is the storm that's going to not only generate just tremendous amount of rain over Fort Smith and Greenwood as well as Charleston, but also has that tornado risk with it too, probably just southeast of Greenwood. Here's another look at velocity images here, and looking at the radar. Still very disorganized. Still looking at a circulation that's trying to develop here south of Charleston. Nothing that's apparent and nothing that looks like it's going to do something imminently. But again, because it's in the environment that really is conducive to spinning. Give you an idea. When you have a decent tornado, you want to see the instability in the atmosphere anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000. We call them joules per kilogram. You want to see that air want to rise a lot. In the summertime, it can be as high as 4,000. Those storms blow up, right? Last couple severe events, we were like 500. Wasn't a big deal. So when you're sitting around instability about 2,000, you got a lot of air that wants to rise. Now, we measure the wind shear in the atmosphere, and it looks like they're reissuing on this. It looks like we got a circulation too to look at. When you look at the wind speeds rotating in these storms, we measure those in meters per second squared. So a lot of rotation may be around 300. The atmosphere now is over 500. So you have a lot of spin going on here in the atmosphere. What caught my eye was this bright green over Burnville. This is that area that we were watching. And right along Highway 10, just north of Milltown Road, this does look like it's got some kind of circulation within it right now. Back out here and show you what this looks like again. So you've got something trying to go on right here. And that makes sense because that's exactly where we saw it earlier, just southeast of Greenwood. We'll see what the next couple of scans do here. But Washburn, Burnville, this whole area in eastern Sebastian County, this is where we're going to be looking at that possibility of some rotating storms here continuing. Time now is about 9:46. We've been with you a while here, but we've had this supercell storm, which just doesn't want to quit, it seems like. Again, noticing, see if we can zoom out, see if you can see this spin within the entire storm here. Yeah, right in here, right along 10, just west of Washburn. Right here. This is where it's trying to wrap up again. So this is southeast of Greenwood, right along 10, just west of Washburn. We'll see what it does, but I do think that there's the potential right along 10 for this thing to redevelop and get another strong circulation going. Take you back to the radar images here. Looking at it. Yep, right there. Last frame, right there. So there's the new circulation. And that's kind of where it is where we thought it would be. So that's where this storm is going to start spinning up again. And unfortunately, we're probably going to get another tornado warning out of this downstream, probably for Franklin County and possibly for Logan County as well. Keep in mind, there's 2 offices that issue for that. Little Rock is going to issue for Logan, and Tulsa is going to issue for Franklin. So it's possible that we just get a sliver of Franklin, and then if they're coordinating, we'll get both of them. But we'll have to wait and see. I think it's right here between Burnville and Milltown now. This is where that storm is really starting to spin up again. Again, it's not very tight circulation. It's not one that looks like it's going to produce a tornado immediately, but it is one that definitely has the potential, and it's in the right spot as compared to where some of these storms were earlier. I'm also looking down to the south in this area here. It doesn't look like there's much there. At first it did. This is the area I think that we need to be most concerned with. Excuse me. I'm going to go back to reflectivity on this and see what this looks like.
So they're saying for right now they're not going to issue a tornado warning on that storm going into Logan County, but they do have 70-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball-sized hails in that storm.
So quite a bit of hail, at least at this point. The Weather Service isn't electing to issue a new tornado warning on it, just simply because that rotation is a bit broader here and a little bit wider. It's still there, though, between Washburn and Greenwood. Assuming we don't have any tornado warnings in the next, for the next hour or so, we'll do our newscast as scheduled coming up at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. Obviously, if we have tornado warnings, we'll have to pivot and do something a little bit different. But the new severe thunderstorm warning lighting up for Logan County now. So the National Weather Service is issuing this for this cell, same one that we've been watching. By the way, who's in the clear, right? I mean, if you're watching, you're wondering, hey, can I go to bed now? Let me zoom out a little bit more here. We don't have any other severe thunderstorm warnings in our area other than the one that's out for the River Valley. So there's no warnings in Northwest Arkansas. Matter of fact, I don't think we're going to see much in Northwest Arkansas tonight as far as severe weather goes. Now, there's a chance once the front moves through that we could get some gusty winds with the storm and probably some more rain. By the way, too, I think 2 a.m. or earlier, it's all gone. So this isn't a thing that's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning or anything like that. This whole front should blow through by about 2 in the morning. So we've got another 4 hours of this before the front finally catches up and moves things out. And once that happens, everything should quiet down a little bit. And hopefully we get once the front moves through, it'll give us some time to dry out overnight and let some of those flash flooding waters come down for that morning drive. That would definitely be the way to go with that. So looking again at the storm here. Again, you've got severe thunderstorm warnings only for the River Valley, not for Northwest Arkansas. You have a stronger cluster of storms at around Crawford County. You got a little bit. You have a lot of storms going on in Sequoia County. You don't have any severe storms. You do have flash flood warnings that are in effect from northern LaFleur County out through Haskell and Latimer County. And, of course, we have that warning, which is in effect here in eastern Sebastian County. That's still under the tornado warning, at least for the time being. But that tornado warning is not going to be extended, at least for now, by the Weather Service in Little Rock. I'm not sure if has Tulsa mentioned anything about that, Michelle?
Tulsa has not.
They haven't? Okay. It'll be interesting to see what they do with this cell here because it's kind of riding all those lines, right? So you have Tulsa's responsibility, Little Rock's responsibility, potential tornado here. So they'd elected to issue a severe thunderstorm warning. Tulsa's got a tornado warning on this till 10:15. If we do get stronger rotation on this, they probably will issue a new warning, at least for Franklin County. Let me go back to the velocity images here and show you what's going on.
They're saying that it's still not indicating a tornado, but it does have some circulation.
Yeah, you can see the circulation here when you loop the velocity images, but there's nothing that's really, really tight. It's kind of like a big merry-go-round or something. You've got a very broad circulation as opposed to spinning like a top when you have that tight circulation. And when you get those really tight ones, that's when the tornado is really wrapping up, and that's when you want to be most concerned with some of the stronger storms. We don't have that right now, but we do have a very broad circulation that's still ongoing here. At a minimum, you're getting damaging winds right down 60. Heads up in Magazine and Boonville, guys. You guys are going to get a lot of wind out of this. 60 or 70 miles an hour is going to be easy to get out of this type stuff. And even in Logan County, too, you've got some winds just north of Boonville, really gusting, especially those last couple of frames there. Some very high wind gusts. Let me go back to the other radar here and check this real close. It almost looks like straight line winds too from that outflow right there. Yeah, yeah. Still, I would look on the northwest side of that right here. The northwest side of that outflow is probably where you would get that tornado to develop. But I agree with what they're looking at with the Weather Service. It doesn't look like there's anything that's imminent as far as a tornado right now underway. We do have that tornado warning. You certainly don't want to discount those things whenever you get those. And I still think this area did produce a brief one right there, right along somewhere along 253. We may have had that brief touchdown earlier. We'll try to get some street levels on that for you. And of course, if the Weather Service does come out and survey or confirm anything, we'll have that for you in tomorrow's newscast as it goes on. So Boonville heads up for wind at least. That surge of wind there, that red, it really means business. That's probably close to 70 miles an hour. That's flip your trampoline and trash can type wind here, coming right down 10 out towards Boonville. And that's some really strong winds that are going to be lighting up parts of Logan County and southern Franklin County as well. Head back over to the radar here. Let's see if we can find that wind moving in. You can almost see it pushing out right there. Right there. Yeah, that thing's racing out. So we do have those strong wind gusts that are moving across western Logan County. Again, that's the push of it here. Let me stop the radar. I'll zoom in and show you right where they are. And this will make a little more sense. Again, the broad area of rotation stretching from like Charleston to Boonville. It's very large. It's not something that's all wrapped up and tight. The damaging wind gusts are out towards the Boonville area between Boonville and to the west. I think you guys are going to be picking up about 60 to 70 mile per hour winds as this comes into town. So downtown Boonville, we've already got the lightning strikes. Look at them all over the place. West 8th Street out towards Ridgeview Drive, and then West 1st Street, right along 10. This wind's coming right down 10. It's going to be enough to cause some damage as it moves through. There's Dubs Way, Richardson Road, moving west to east here, coming down Highway 10. There's Live Chapel Road, Zorns Road. Backing out a little bit more, you can see that wind starting to punch in. There's Cawthron. So as it moves into the area, we're probably going to have wind damage at a minimum here in central Logan County from this storm moving through. And of course, we do have that attendant tornado threat as well for any of these storms that start spinning. And the atmosphere, as we mentioned earlier, is prone to spinning with this. But thankfully, we just had that one area that we watched real close in central Sebastian County. And so far, we haven't seen this thing really fire back up intensely.
So the National Weather Service is saying that it's moving northeast, which could lower the tornado threat, but they're definitely keeping an eye on it. But they're going to reissue a severe thunderstorm warning for 70 mile per hour winds and golf ball size hail.
All right, so that's good news too. And you can kind of tell too, you can see the general trend here is a bit more towards the northeast. And we talked about earlier how if those storms make that right turn or they move southeast, that's more of that deviant motion for the storms where they'll move and suck in more of that spin and just makes them more prone to produce tornadoes. Another thing that happened too today is you had all that rainfall in northwest Arkansas, and that reinforced that boundary that was lying across the river valley. So that created a temperature gradient between north and south. When these storms cross over that boundary, they'll become elevated and they'll be more of a hail-producing storm. They won't be the tornado-producing type storms. So a northeast movement is a good thing for these storms. It's not a good thing for rainfall totals because it means rainfall totals are going to be a little bit higher. What you don't want to see, though, is more of an east-southeast movement on these storms. I think that is where you start getting into trouble when you start ending up with these tornado warnings like what we've seen so far this evening. Let me take you back into Logan County. Again, I'm really concerned about the damaging wind threat here in Boonville.
They were saying 70 mile per hour winds are heading to Boonville.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense here with this. That's, in fact, the other radar site really shows it clear. I mean, these winds are just punching in right here. We're going to have wind damage between Washburn and Boonville, probably 60 to 70 miles an hour at a minimum. This is going to be the type of wind that's going to down trees. If you have trees next to your house, you want to get away from all windows. A lot of times these trees can just come down on your home and cause all kinds of problems inside the house. So just be aware of that if you have a lot of large trees outside your house, that this is the type of wind that's going to pull those trees down. There's a lot of wind surging towards Boonville right now. Just a tremendous amount of wind here just east of Washburn, right down 10. And, you know, sometimes with the winds like this, it'll look like a tornado came through. I mean, if you think about it, you're talking like EF0 tornadoes, even EF1, you're still in that 70, 80 mile per hour ballpark of wind. Only with damaging winds, you get them over a much larger area, so you end up with more damage. There's another jog to the north, too. You can see it right there. That heaviest wind damage is going to be on the northwest side of Boonville. The new warning just came out. This new warning is going to go for Logan County, and Johnson. Okay, so it extended up through Clarksville too. So they're gonna keep this one going. Again, we'll watch it for that southeast movement or east movement, because that would indicate to us that there's probably going to be a new tornado warning that develops and forms out of this. Western Logan County, though, is the area to watch for damaging wind. And then that tornado threat's also still within that same area here, southwest of Paris, just north of Boonville, and just south of Charleston. That's the damaging wind here that's really surging into town. Look at all the lightning strikes too. It's got a tremendous amount of lightning along and ahead of the thunderstorm as it makes its way into the area. There's 23. You've also got Highway 10. Zoom back out a little bit more for you here. The time now is about 9:57. We're about to start our 10 o'clock newscast. And since we don't have any tornado warnings that are going to continue to be a threat for our area, we're going to do our newscast as scheduled. We've got a tremendous amount of stuff to cover today just from the weather. It's been a wild day of weather from north and south. Of course, we started the day with all the flash flooding. We're ending the day now with tornado warnings across the southern part of I-40, and it's not over with yet. We still have that cold front which is going to move through. That front should clear the area coming up later tonight, probably close to midnight or 1. That would put us in the clear by 2 a.m. That tornado watch for the River Valley also goes until 2 a.m. So it's still possible that we could be dealing with additional storms south of I-40 from Clarksville out through Paris and in the western part of Logan County too. So this is the area to watch now. We also have other storms that are underway. We have storms in Sequoia County. We have storms in Fort Smith. You can see the heavy rainfall from Bellefonte through Brushy, Sallisaw, Muldrow, Fort Smith, Dora, all dealing with heavy rain showers. Let me zoom out and show you what else is going on across the area. If we look up towards the north, we also have additional thunderstorms which are underway from Winslow. Keep in mind, as you get into this terrain, you're looking at a higher risk of flash flooding. Flash flooding at night's even more dangerous than flash flooding during the daytime because you can't see what you're driving into. So be very careful in places like Bentonville and Rogers. This area just was lit up today with rain totals. Southeastern Washington County, we had some high rainfall earlier out towards Winslow. We're getting more rainfall now. That will also cause flooding of low-lying areas. And again, zooming out and just getting a wide view of this storm, we'll give you an idea of where it is and where it's tracking. So here's another wide view of the thunderstorms tracking from the southwest to northeast, and not moving a whole lot either, which means those rain totals are still going to be high for us as it moves into the area. And those cells that are to the west, you've even got one out here coming right down I-40 we've got to keep an eye on through the evening. That may be the front trying to, just west of 44 there. Trying to make some eastward progress. That front's going to act like a big broom and sweep all this stuff out. So it'll be gone here in the early overnight hours and finally allow us to dry up and dry out from all the heavy rainfall that we've seen. But those storms are going to continue here for at least the next couple of hours with heavy rainfall. And I do think you'll see these green boxes, flash flood warnings, you're going to see those extended back to the north. We'll have more flash flood warnings in Carroll County as well as Madison County and Washington County. It's a red weather alert day here with all of the severe weather that we've been following. Of course, we have flash flooding, we have severe thunderstorms, we have tornado warnings all in one day. It's springtime in Arkansas and Oklahoma. We're watching all the storms as they move through, and as I alluded to earlier, this is going to keep going through about 2 a.m. We're tracking all the storms, and we'll have the latest for you coming up on your 5 News at 10, which starts right now. Again, 5 News at 10, and we've got severe thunderstorms that are still in the area. You'll notice, though, that the tornado warning from earlier has been dropped across parts of the River Valley. We're watching it here around Fort Smith and then to the east. This is still the severe thunderstorm. We're still looking at strong storms from Ozark out through Paris and into the Clarksville area. This is the one that we're most concerned with damaging winds, and also the one that's posed the tornado threat so far today. So we're going to keep a close, watchful eye on that storm as it moves through. And it looks like that rotation from earlier has weakened, but we're still watching some pockets there where we have some spinning within the storm here just to the west-southwest of Paris. And you can see right even in this area here out towards 23 and north of Boonville where we had those damaging winds, we're still looking at some very large area, a very large area of rotation that's tracking from west to east. We are under severe thunderstorm warnings in Paris, in Driggs, and then out towards Magazine. Farther to the west-northwest, we don't have anything else that's spinning out there, but we do have a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning. The cell that first prompted started the tornado warning was the one that came in from LaFleur County, moved across Sebastian County, may have briefly touched down on 253, weakened, and is now in central portions of Logan County. So this is still one to watch here, and we'll see if we do indeed get any additional warnings out of that storm in the western portion of Logan County. Looking back, go ahead. For the Logan County one? Okay, so here's what we're looking at, guys. Let me show you this. You saw it just a second ago on radar. We do have a new tornado warning, which is going to be coming for this storm here, southwest of Paris. Here's Boonville, here's Paris behind me. Right here, let me show you what this is. Look at the velocity image on this. See this green and red in the last frame? Right there. It started to regenerate that circulation here just north of Boonville from where those damaging winds were. And we'll see here in a second if they go ahead and indeed light that box up here. We'll see where this tornado warning goes. My thought is it's probably going to do something like this, and it probably includes the town of Paris just based on the general track of the storm. This thing also has more of a classic hook shape to it, so it's a little easier to see where the rotation is going to be the strongest. Again, that's right here in western parts of Logan County. You're looking at the spin on this storm located right here. So north of Boonville, not that big, north of Boonville out towards Paris is Driggs is where that rotation is. See if we can try it again, right there. So that's the pocket of rotation that's moving east-northeast. So the new tornado warning box will probably, there it is, includes Driggs, Paris, Coxville, and the Shoal Creek area. So this new tornado warning is for this circulation that's located just north of Boonville, and will continue to move east-northeast. This does have more of the classic hook shape to it, and if we back out a little bit more, you can see where this tornado warning is here from Boonville, northeast through Paris, Shoal Creek, and then out through the Charleston area. So that one just wrapped up here recently in the last few minutes, and I'll go off camera here and see if I can pull that up on Analyst for you real quick and see if we can get a better look at it. So this is the storm, and they've issued on this area right through here. So this is what we're watching. And also, by the way, guys, there's a lot of hail in this too. You've got a lot of hail that's coming up through Paris and Driggs. That's really the only storm out there with the hail. And again, that rotation couplet is strongest right in here, just north of Boonville. And you can see it here on Storm Relative as it starts moving through. So that's going to be places like 6 Mile Valley Road and let's see, Circle T Road. This is going to be trending northeast between Driggs and B Mountain Road. So that's the area right through here where we have that rotation. And it looks like they've issued, let's see if we can calibrate this a little more. They've got the warning. How long does that go for?
Until 10:45.
10:45. So 10:45 on that warning here in western Logan County. The rotation doesn't appear to be as strong as it did earlier. Let me see if we've got any debris in this thing. Doesn't look like it right now, thankfully. But we do have that rotation that's moving on through, and let's see. Yeah, I was just reading that. The Weather Service reporting a storm spotter near Boonville, near the hospital, looking northwest towards Chisholmville, saw a funnel cloud, and that's generally in the direction that we're also looking. So the temperatures are going to be falling outside of this once this front moves through. But in the meantime, we've got that warm, soupy air, and that soupy air is what's causing some of these problems with the storm. So I think it sounds like they issued it based on the spotter report. Mm-hmm. and the low-level rotation.
Yeah, the winds too.
The wind speeds on it, yeah. And you did have those winds that were gusting out of the thunderstorm. Those are going to be moving towards the north-northeast. So you've got a couple of different things there in Paris, and you have out here in western Logan County, spotter report lining up with the winds where that's going to be rotating and spinning the strongest here west of Paris. So you're west-southwest of Paris out towards Boonville. And this is the area here where you need to be moving to a safe place right through here along 23. Didn't see anything right away that caught my eye that said, hey, this looks like it's on the ground right now. But the fact that you had a spotter seeing a funnel cloud and you've got tight circulation here definitely indicates the presence of some strong rotation within the storm. Going back over to the velocity images, you can see it moving west to east. Again, that couplet's strongest right here near Boonville, right there, moving east. We can get another close look at that. Again, that's west-northwest of Benton County, Logan County, along 217, just south of Chisholmville. That circulation is fairly broad. Got the red and the darker greens and blues here. I think damaging wind's going to be a good bet for us. But right now, there's nothing. Let's just check it and see if we've got anything that lines up with this as well for tornado debris. There's nothing in here that looks like it's on the ground for the time being, so there's certainly good news out of that. I'm going to go to reflectivity, but also before I do that, I'm going to go back to this one real quick. If you don't mind, Michelle, could you flip that over to storm relative just real quickly and maybe zoom in on this area here? There you go. So it's southeast of Chisholmville. Again, that's a broad circulation here. That's the red to the edge of the blue here. It's not really that wrapped up just yet, but it's there, and that's why they issued that tornado warning on the storm here near the Chisholmville area. And you can see those gusty winds. I think that gusty wind, that wind gust that moved through Boonville probably helped this thing start wrapping up a little bit more. Let's go back to the wide view here and get you a bigger view of what's going on. I'll zoom on out of the area. And of course, we have that storm that's underway here in Logan County. We also have some cells. Looks like they're firing on the southwest side. This is going to be interesting to see too. Why don't we check that one out real quick just to see what's going on here in southern Sebastian County. Got another cell here just southwest of the Mansfield area. Tornado warning goes until 10:45. Let's see. Just looking for any pockets of rotation that are embedded within this. Doesn't appear to be any, at least for the time being. Zoom out a little bit more here. Just kind of getting a feel for what's going on across the area, making sure we don't miss anything. And then let's look to the north just a little bit. Eastern Oklahoma, west central Arkansas. There's something here in southern Sebastian County that bears watching. It doesn't look like it's anything right now, but there's a little bit of spin going on with that. The more significant spin still seems to be with that storm that's located just southwest of Paris, right in here. So this is the area that we're watching near Cawthron and out towards Magazine. And that's going to be tracking northeast, more east than northeast with that cell. And go back to the other radar product here and get another update on this. Let's see, got a lot of noise here out ahead of it. Do you mind flipping that over to reflectivity real quick? Let's see if this lines up. Yeah, you can see the gust front right through here. So the surge of wind is right through here. The tornado would occur right in this area here. So it would be just southwest of Driggs, northwest of Magazine, getting into a real hilly area here. It'd be very difficult to see stuff like this as it moves through. Go ahead and try storm relative again. So this is the area that we're watching right through here. It looks like it's looks a lot more disorganized here on the wide view of it.
They're saying the primary tornado threat is just directly in the middle of the line extending from Boonville to Clarksville. Yeah,
so we're going to be right in here. Go ahead and zoom out a little bit more. We can see so you've got it from right through here, back up to the north, where the tornado threat's going to be highest. It's going to be with this supercell storm. It's been the one that we've been dealing with so far all day. I think we've got some radar issues going on here that maybe aren't indicative of actually what's happening here. But what's happened to the west is where this rotation is. It's a little bit stronger right there north of the Boonville area. So back onto the radar product here, you can see it as it moves through out towards Driggs. For the time being, Boonville looks like you're in the clear from this. Even though you're in that tornado warning polygon, the rotation is going to be just to the north of you. So you've got Coxville here, and then you have Boonville here. So you've got the tornado threat right there in the middle, kind of where my hand is. And then looking back over at the wind speeds in the middle there, well, the last frame may have picked up a little bit, huh? Let's see. Yeah, so right in here is where the rotation is. Let's zoom in a little bit closer on this. If we were to get a tornado occurring right now, this is where it would be. It would be just east of 217. It would be along 6 Mile Road, Burton Road, Byers Road, just to the north of Circle T Road. Really 6 Mile Road up towards Backbone Road. This is right where that circulation is on 217, and it's lifting towards the north. So should we get a tornado to develop, it would be right there. And let me check this out real quick and see if we've got anything that shows up on tornado debris. And right now there isn't any there. So it doesn't look like it's on the ground, which is good news for us. If we look at a loop of images, though, we can see how this thing's become wound up. You can actually start seeing the spin, too. If you look real close, I'll zoom out a little bit more. But you can see how this thing's been spinning right there. You got a very large circulation there. Downstream from this, guys, Paris is going to be in the path of this. If it holds together, remember they haven't really they've had a hard time actually holding together today. But anywhere between Paris and Boonville in this area is where we're looking at the strongest storm. Here's Paris, there's Boonville. That's punching to the northeast. You also have those winds surging out towards Driggs now. And you have that circulation here just north of Boonville, between Boonville and the Coxville area, moving northeast. This is the area south of 22 and north of 10. If you live in that area, you need to move to a safe place until this thing passes through. And if you're in Clarksville and Driggs, a big heads up, because it's headed your way as it moves northeast. And with time, probably even Scranton as it moves from west to east. We started tracking this thing in Haskell and Latimer County at about 8:45. So this has been a long track supercell storm here that has regenerated these circulations over and over again. And we still have that one north of Boonville that's about to move through right in here, just east of 23. So that's the one that that's the one that we're watching closest. And that's going to continue tracking northeast. You may be wondering what some of these bright colors are out towards the east. Sometimes we get a little bit of contamination from the radar beam trying to sort things out. So the strongest circulation is actually going to be right in here. So that's what we're looking at here. That might be something we call side lobe contamination, which is not necessarily the true wind speeds being reflected on the radar. But right in here, you definitely have that circulation, and it's going to be moving east-northeast, pretty much following where they have that polygon. Right in here is where that circulation is. So Driggs and Paris, see what I mean by Paris? You guys are right in the crosshairs of this thing if it keeps holding together. A lot of times what it'll do is it'll move a little bit to the east, and then right as it wraps up and ends, it'll jog due north. So even if we get more of an eastern movement on this, keep in mind it could move and shift a little bit more towards the north on that with that cell that's moving through. I'll take you back to another radar real quick just to check and see. Let's look at this again.
They are watching a cell in the southern part of Sebastian County.
Yeah, I think that was that same one we looked at a moment ago. Let me go back to that. That was the only other one that I saw when we kind of zoomed around the entire area. It's going to be, let's see here. It's going to be right around this area, around Dayton. Again, almost the same place as it was earlier.
Mm-hmm. And the National Weather Service is also saying that Paris will get golf ball size hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds from that tornado warning.
Let's say again with the tornado warning.
Paris will get golf ball size hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds.
Yeah, and that looks to be true here with this. That's moving to the northeast. So that's going to be tracking north here across Paris. Again, that rotation in western Logan County here, still pretty strong, just west-southwest of Paris, moving out towards the Driggs area and Highway 22. So we're watching this one real close. We're also watching the storm that's located in southern Sebastian County really close as this whole thing starts to transition east and moves out of the area. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more extended coverage of the weather as this continues to make its way through the area. We're going to regroup and get some things going and bring you some more images of what's going on out where you live. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.